I know you probably woke up this morning hearing that everything is bad always, and especially it's bad for progressives. I mean, after all, moderates lost, so why shouldn't it be progressives' fault? But in fact, actually, there were some good election results and even good election results for progressives or for policies that pursue progressive goals that reflect progressive values. So we're gonna throw a bunch of the good news at you. It's not necessarily as high profile as Youngkin versus McAuliffe or whatever. But I want to start off with Ed Gainey. Pittsburgh having elected its first black mayor on Tuesday. Gainey is a former state representative who was born and raised in Pittsburgh, beat retired Pittsburgh police officer Tony Moreno. No Republican has held the office of mayor in 90 years. Jeez. Anyway, Gainey is focused on demilitarizing. That goes to what you were saying before, JR. So what?
Exactly.
Well, okay, we'll get to that. Anyway, Gainey's focused on. It's an interesting factoid, buddy. Anyway, Gainey is focused on demilitarizing the police and overhauling the police system. So hey, maybe it'll work where it's in Minneapolis. He supports reducing Pittsburgh's carbon footprint and communities of color being disproportionately affected by climate change and pollution, wants to do something about that. So that's good news. You also have Justin Bibb winning Cleveland's mayoral election over Kevin Kelly, a 34-year-old nonprofit leader. That certainly stands out. Got more than 62% of the vote, which is great. Was endorsed by Nina Turner, so that's awesome. So that's a few good candidates. We also have, by the way, Michelle Wu winning in Boston, the first woman, the first person of color to be elected Boston's mayor. If you're from outside of the US, you may not know what Boston is like. It has a reputation. I will just say that it has produced a lot of actors who have reinforced that reputation. But they elected Michelle Wu, a progressive who supports a city level Green New Deal, workers' rights, and affordable housing, which is all good news. Beat Democratic City Councilor Anissa Asabi, George, a fellow self-described first-generation Arab Polish American. So there was going to be more representation for Boston no matter what. They went with the progressive, so that's good news.
Yeah, okay. A lot of these policies we're seeing from these candidates that had, I guess the best you can call is not as, I guess, active races or popular races in the media. We haven't heard about these as they're coming, but look, some of these policies that they have here, and you know what kind of sucks, because as I went through some of the things that they were advocating and campaigned on, my first thought was, oh, I like that. My second thought was, but are they gonna do it? And I just wonder to what degree, and that's a normal political thought process, but I just wonder to what degree many people that are observing what's happening, again, on the federal level, with Biden and his agenda and what's going on in the House and the Senate and everything like that, how much will they fight once they're in office to do what they said they're gonna do? Because these are transformative issues and policies and things that American people want, but then they kind of lose their gumption when they get there. So it all remains to be seen. When Biden came in, remains to be seen, time to fight, now let's push him. And the pushing happened, but there's the most powerful man in the country, Joe Manchin, came in and stopped it all. So who's the Joe Manchin of Justin Bibb, and who's the Joe Manchin of Michelle Wu? Hopefully no one, or hopefully not even anyone else that's gonna be on the other side of the aisle, but we'll see. This is what sucks about victories, is then you go, yeah, we had these victories, we just saw them a year ago. Yeah. Now what?
Now what's gonna happen? Yeah, you're right. You can't just assume that because they say the right thing during the election that you can trust them unless they wear wigs and Uggs, and then you shouldn't ever check. They'll be good. I'm not worried about it. Anyway, there were other good results as well. So Roweda Abdelaziz on Twitter has a tweet sort of summarizing some of the historic Muslim American wins, including candidates for New York City Council, first Muslim woman, Shahana from BK, first Arab American and Muslim mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, first Muslim elected to the Boston City Council, first Muslim elected to the Worcester City Council. So a lot of that clustered on the East Coast, but hey, that's good. And again, you still have to see what candidates are going to do once they're politicians. But in addition, Tucson, which happens to be Kirsten Sinema's hometown, approved a $15 an hour minimum wage by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. Hey, yeah, on the $15 an hour minimum wage, woo! Isn't it fun? I hope they all did that as they went to vote yesterday. What do you know? It's popular. And wouldn't
really
it be
weird.
great if they had representatives who actually supported what they support?
And how much is this going to be talked about? How much is this going to be talked about? Because then every time you have Democrats that talk about, oh, it's not what the American people want, Joe Manchin keeps talking about. My West Virginians don't want to live paid. What are you talking about? So as you see the reality of voters' actual positions and stances and what they vote on, is this going to be highlighted every time we bring up Kyrsten Sinema now? Kyrsten Sinema rejected by her constituents because she doesn't want them to get paid what they're worth. Kyrsten Sinema doesn't think her constituents deserve to be paid. Her constituents disagree. That's what the headline should say. Kyrsten Sinema, you don't deserve it. Her constituents, yes, we do.
Yeah,
it's a fight.
Anyway, again, like theoretically, were she to support at the state level, she would be even more popular. But again, she's already popular with the people she cares to be popular with. So that's fun. Anyway, we do have one other. So an awesome viewer of the pre-show. By the way, if you don't watch the pre-show, it takes place about 45 minutes before the show each day over at YouTube. We go live. You can sign up for notifications and all that. Let me know about one additional thing that happened. New York Proposal 2, the Environmental Rights Amendment. It was adding a right to clean water, clean air, and a healthful environment to the New York Constitution's Bill of Rights. I looked up the numbers. It was more than 60%. So that's good news. Look at that. These are actually popular things to push for. Maybe you could push for these things and you'd win more elections. That's a radical strategy for you.
Radical.
Anyway, so look, this is just not to say this is not all of what happened, obviously, and it's very easy, and I understand why you might focus on things like the Virginia's governor's race, or even India Walton losing in Buffalo. Those are unfortunate losses, certainly, especially India Walton, who came on our show and we had a great talk with her. But it was somewhat of a mixed bag. There were some good things that were done, and these changes, including, for instance, the $15 an hour minimum wage, is going to have a material impact on the lives of many people, and let's not forget that.
The actual reason for elections. That's what's so crazy. The actual reason for elections. So how is it changing Americans' lives? How is it helping Americans' lives? Rather than, oh, which party and what's this gonna say for the future and are they gonna win? This isn't a football game. What is the results of these results of elections? You know, if the Rams beat the Chargers, it doesn't matter further than the fans and the players. Like what?
Yeah.
Let's go to
what if the Rams haven't beaten the Chargers in like 22 years? For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.